August the 22nd, 2020. Guys, you're looking at the update from the National Hurricane Center. It came out at 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time, which was 10 minutes ago. And this thing has changed drastically. Many of you may have gotten up this morning, as I did early, and checked out the National Hurricane Center's website. At that time, the storm, which is located here, was at 50-mile-per-hour sustained winds, and they had removed all of these H's, which means it's a hurricane. But now it's 65 miles an hour. It's starting to feel that warmer water into the Gulf of Mexico, and it is going to become a hurricane within the next few hours, according to this chart. Notice that? So we're almost at hurricane speeds now, 65-mile-per-hour winds. You got to just that will hold the tropical storm up to 73 miles an hour, 74 at Cat 1. Most of us knew that once this thing got into the Gulf of Mexico, that when we saw this chart earlier this morning with all tropical storm symbols, never becoming a hurricane, that wasn't going to work. The people that have lived on these coastal states most of their lives, that just doesn't happen in August. It doesn't just get out there and drift. And we'll take a look at Tropical Storm Laura behind this one and look at the timing. But if you look, it's about to become a hurricane. Now, will it remain a Cat 1? As fast as it has accelerated in sustained wind speed, 15 miles an hour between the reports, I don't know if it's going to remain a Cat 1. We'll just have to wait and see about that. It is August. Now, by 7 a.m. in the morning, we've got a hurricane setting here. 7 p.m. Sunday is the sun setting, getting ready to set. We have a hurricane off the coast. 7 a.m. Monday, this thing is going to be, the outer winds will be ashore, and you'll be starting to feel this storm at that point. So you got today and tomorrow, guys, and I'm sure the supplies are already getting low. But do things like fill up your bathtub for extra water. If you've got one of the swimming pools or something like that, guys, it doesn't matter if it's a small kiddie pool or a huge one. That's water that you can use, that you can boil and sterilize, or you can use your AquaFlow, your Alexa Pure water filtration, or boil it, and fill your tub up. Any 5-gallon buckets you got, go ahead and fill them up with water. You understand what I'm saying? Anything you got that'll hold water, because 15 years ago now, it doesn't seem like it. 2005 was Katrina. Time flies. But without water for 2 weeks, because there was no electricity to pump the water from the main tower. Out in the country, we have these big, tall water tanks, and it uses that pressure to feed the houses, but it has a big pump that pumps the water up into the top of the tower. Luckily, it took 2 weeks, but we were able to get a big Caterpillar generator shipped in on an 18-wheeler from over in Birmingham, I think it was. The last one they had, where there was no more in the state of Mississippi or Louisiana. And it got it up and running. To put the generator there, it was enough power to keep that big 210 three-phase engine, I think it was, that's on the water tower. But it was so for 2 weeks, just about, guys, it was a struggle just to get water. And that's not anything you really want to go through. I'm not saying we're going to have another Katrina, but it is August, and I hate to keep saying that too, but we know what's going on. Now notice this cone, and it's showing that somewhere inside this white area would be the center. So this is the average of a few models where they've got the logos, but anywhere outside of this could be the center. So that's saying from South Louisiana over until South Texas. You see that, the probability of impact. But again, if it follows this curve, which the Navy is not in real good agreement with, then you're going to have the same impact across southern Louisiana from both storms. Again, let's remember 7 a.m. Monday, we have a hurricane here. Now, our second storm has weakened, and it's encountering the islands. You've got Puerto Rico here, guys, but the winds are at 40 miles an hour. The movement is west at 18 miles an hour. That has slowed down from 21 miles an hour on the earlier information. I think we were about 45 mile per hour winds at that time. And you can see it's forecast to remain a tropical storm as it crosses Cuba, then become a hurricane by 8 a.m. Tuesday. So 8 a.m. Monday, this storm is setting over Cuba now, weaker than if it had remained over open water. So, and we have about in this area right here, we're going to have the first storm, Marco. So there's going to be some separation between them if these paths hold up. But again, look at where this one's coming in as a hurricane again. So South Louisiana, for example, if this center plot holds up, you're going to have within 2 days two at least Cat 1 hurricanes coming ashore. Now this one goes from the Mississippi-Alabama line over to just south of Houston. But this would be coming in around Wednesday morning. So coming into Tuesday night, of course, there'll be all eyes will be on this storm also. The ones that have electricity in this area, depending on the impact from the first storm. So it's going to be something we haven't seen a lot of. We have seen them come together and a week apart, a strong hurricane and maybe a tropical storm come in. But we may have 2 hurricanes coming in back to back with no recovery time. So it's kind of like double prepare if you're going to try to stay there. Even if they're just Cat 1s, guys, do you realize how much damage Tropical Storm Isaias did onshore up the East Coast? So remember that. We're in very hot waters. We're in very heated atmosphere because of grand solar minimum. Our shields are weak. Let's take a look at some of the satellite imaging. Now, taking a look at Marco from the satellite over the Gulf of Mexico, you can see that it is shooting that gap between Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula. And there's a lot of motion, again, curving over the Florida Peninsula like it was last night. We're starting to even see some turning in the lower level clouds back from west to east here. Now, I'm not saying that it will turn this storm into Florida. The Navy thinks it could come very close, but it may not let it make that full curve this way. We're just going to have to watch it. So you've got a front coming down here across Texas. So the curve is going to be hard for the storm to make. I'm not saying it's not going to do it, but if we didn't have any modeling, all we had was this image right here, I would say that from Mississippi to the right of this would be the most probable tracking. But they have advanced computer modeling that can put in changes in wind per hour and per day, and atmospheric pressure, low pressure areas and high pressure areas that you can't visualize with these images. But we're going to look at the spaghetti models from the different outputs. Now, switching to the Caribbean satellite, this is Tropical Storm Larg, and it's slowed down, but this is going to change I think by the next update. So it's really coming off of Puerto Rico now, and last night, guys, some of these islands were reporting some trees down and power outages. But if it stays along the projected track, it's going to track straight over the islands and then emerge into the Gulf of Mexico here and become a hurricane. If it changes slightly to the north, and that's kind of how they do if they change this time of the year, then it will become a stronger storm because it will not be inhibited by the islands. And you can see both storms in this image. The last frames, this is the edge, Marco, and here's our second storm. There's still a couple low pressure areas behind this that you're watching. Also, the 11 a.m. updates here. Now, this is Eastern time, but here's what we got. The Navy model has it slipping above the island. See that? Right there. There's 2 models that actually do that. One carries it right into Mobile Bay. The Navy model turns it and skirts the edge of Florida and heads north, just for my friends in Georgia and the Carolinas. Navy model is very accurate. It should be, but it will change. But man, they've been pretty accurate so far this year, just saying. Now, all of your other models are starting to show that curve to the right, but later on. In other words, if you look at the cone track. It appears it's going to come up and then turn back and move through Texas. But everything now is sensing that turn. But the turn looks like it's already starting to happen to me. And so the Navy may be very well right on this one. It will depend, and we should be able to tell by maybe tonight if the storm does not track across all of the islands, including Cuba, and it moves just a little north, and we're seeing all this pressure move across the Florida Panhandle, and most of Florida is getting clouds or rain right now. But that would be enough to do exactly what the Navy's saying. Either way, there's a good chance, and there's 2 more models that show that the second storm makes this curve, not into southern Louisiana, but into Mobile and along the Mississippi and Alabama coast. Now, this is the tracking of Marco. The Navy has it coming up through Mobile Bay. Another model called the TABD model also has it tracking there. The other models are kind of going with the cone. This one brings it ashore in Louisiana. It doesn't just skirt the shore and coming into Texas. And I think that has everything to do with what we're seeing, everything shifting from left to right in this image, and all the upper level wind shear and now the lower level patterns are moving that direction. So I think it's way too early to trust those cones yet. They may be perfectly on the dot, and if they are, more power to them. But it just doesn't look like that to me. So I want everyone to, from the tip of Florida, to watch it in the next few days, and then after that into the Gulf. If it makes that turn at that point, then there's a lot of areas that could be, again, hit twice. So just keep an eye on it, guys. We'll be updating. It's a heads up. Keep batting everything down and be safe.